I'm a big dark and edgy guy, and as a dark and edgy guy, I am a massive Batman fan, if you couldn't tell. But watching Superman and Fantastic Four have got me feeling things, so let's talk about the life lessons that I was able to pick up and reflect on from watching these two most recent superhero movies. First lesson: don't be afraid to pop. By pop, I mean stand out, not being afraid to be different, not being afraid to embrace who you are, where you come from, what you stand for. These movies have color, style, and flair. In the same way, don't be afraid to embrace your own color, style, and flair. Too many of us have been raised to be afraid of ourselves. Because yes, attracting attention does have its own costs and disadvantages, but at the same time, is that really worth holding your true self back? If you're new to this channel, hi, welcome, my name is Nicholas, also known as Sentient Poison, and in this channel we usually talk about life, music, art, and advice, but this time is a little bit special. I am venturing out into talking about popular culture and movies and superheroes especially, sharing with you just the things that I picked up in terms of meaning and life lessons, because that's just how my brain works. So if any of that stuff that I said hits you in the right spot, then consider subscribing and clicking that notification bell. If you're enjoying the vibe, it really does make a difference. Seriously, leave a like, click it, it's one button. I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. These two movies stand out because they pop. They embrace their own aesthetic. They embrace the fact that they are comic book movies and they are not apologetic about it, and they are not afraid of it. They're not afraid to embrace different aesthetics that are against the dark and gritty that we've seen too much of in superhero movies. Even as a Batman fan, there's too much emphasis on realism, too much emphasis on grit, not enough emphasis on just embracing comic culture, comic accurate costumes, colorful color grading, and stylistic shots. They choose to be proud of the fact that they are what they are. And you might be thinking it's a bit ironic coming from a Batman fan that's dressed in all black. What I mean by not being afraid to pop isn't being the loudest person in the room, being the most colorful, or being the smiliest. It's just knowing how unique you actually are in here and in here. Being unafraid of standing out, potentially like a sore thumb, or like you're the elephant in the room, by just being true to who you are. We have had a lot, maybe too much, of the dark and gritty superhero movie. What if superheroes in these comic book movies just embrace the fact that they were superheroes in comic book movies? The Fantastic Four are not wearing the most practical combat-looking suits. And, big controversy, Superman's wearing red underpants on the outside. And both of them just do it. In the same way, we can learn from this as people. Like I said, you don't have to be the smiliest person, you don't have to wear the brightest colors, you don't have to be the loudest, you just have to be true. And being true risks you popping. There are ways that I stand out, and the only reason that I'm so aware of them is because people tell me. I wear black, long flowing coats, I look quite ominous, and sometimes people find that intimidating or off-putting, but I'm just going to do my thing anyway. In the same way, don't be afraid of the things that make you unique. Don't be afraid of the things you love. Think about it. What's your equivalent of wearing the bright red Superman trunks? These two movies are not afraid of wearing their heart on their sleeves. They know what they love, they know what they stand for, and they are willing to show it, they are willing to act on it. Hope and earnestness. With Superman, he has this focus on doing the right thing, on doing good, even if he faces backlash. He's being told to worry about the red tape, worry about the politics of it all, worry about this, and this, why aren't you considering this, why did you do this? And all he has in response is because people were going to die and he just wanted to do good. Figures like Superman remind us and encourage us to believe in what we believe in and not give into the pressure of what everybody else is trying to tell us. It's not common nowadays for us to be open to that kind of level of wholesome earnestness, because it's easy to be skeptical, it's easy to be cynical. Guilty as charged. I am, admittedly, much more like Batman in that sense of being suspicious of so many people and having contingency plans for certain things and situations, just coming as a natural aspect of who I am. That actually bleeds over to the Fantastic Four, especially with Reed having his anxieties, having to always try to do his best to be ahead of every single thing. But even that is his own form of earnestness, because he wants to take care not just of himself, but also his family. Everybody wants to protect the planet, but they're also not listening to the noise of do this, sacrifice this, because they have their values, they know what's important to them. So in the midst of doing the good thing and trying to do the right thing, they're trying to solve their problems, and they're still acting in the way that's authentic to them. And I think we can take a little something out of that too. Good begets good. Not always, I can't help but give that disclaimer. My inner cynic is still fighting to make this video, but these two movies remind us of something hopeful. Good inspires good. Hopefully, eventually. It's not just the heroes that inspire. The people also inspire the heroes themselves. That has so much power to bleed over, and I've seen it in the effect of how people are reacting to these movies, especially with Superman. When you stand up for what you believe is right, when you make it so clear you have resiliency and integrity over your values and over your actions, even if you're not trying to prove anything to anybody, it will show. Your character will show. And when it does, it has the power to inspire. Hope amidst hopelessness. Not backing down, not giving up. Integrity. When your intentions match your words and your words match your actions. Integrity is really the core of these heroes. Separately, in these two movies, the heroes have their moments to inspire the people. To inspire us. But it's one thing for somebody to give a rousing speech, and it's another for them to be able to live up to those words and match their words with their actions. In Fantastic Four, Sue, leaving the safety of the Baxter building, she goes out there as they're telling them to give up the child that they just gave birth to, and approaches them with love. Gets honest and vulnerable about her cares, about her hopes, about how they're still going to fight, how they're still going to try, and their actions show it. She inspires people with her words, but she doesn't stop there. None of the four of them do. They were trying before that speech, and they kept trying after. Back to Superman. At the beginning, we're shown what Clark thinks to be the message sent to him by Jor and Lara, and he interprets that the way that he does. It empowers him in this mission as to the reason he was sent to Earth. And then those beliefs get challenged. Almost everybody is questioning and doubting him, with only a few people that actually know him that are sticking by him. And even that on its own should say something. The people around him know the truth without him having to defend himself, because he spoke about his beliefs and they could see it every single time that his actions matched his beliefs. But even then, he gets doubted, he gets beat, he goes home to Kansas. And in that short scene with him and his father, he gets the push that he needs again, gave him the words that he needed to hear. But think about it. Would he have been able to internalize those words if he did not know that his father believed them as well and proved them through his actions by raising him the way that he did, by taking care of him when he's beat down? No. It would not have been as strong. But the reason it hit him is because throughout his life, his parents were always there for him as good parents. They showed him what good meant. You see all the childhood memories of him and the Kents in the Fortress of Solitude, and that becomes his new parental and familial link that motivates him to push on, because he didn't get to grow up with Jor-El. He didn't get to see the reality of Krypton, so even if that message was misinterpreted or corrupted, he has nothing to latch onto except their words, their very fragmented words. But he has his whole lifetime as evidence of Martha and Jonathan being good parents to him. He can hold on to that much more because he knows their spoken intentions and their actions have matched it all his life. Family is what you make it. Yes, family is defined by the literal sense of who you are blood related to or legally related to, but it's also who you choose and who chooses you. With the Fantastic Four, Marvel's first family, neither Sue, Johnny, nor Reed are blood related to Ben. So what makes them Marvel's first family? It's the fact that they have their shared experiences. Yes, they went through horrific transformations in space that gave them superpowers, and most of us are not probably gonna have that experience, but still, the point stands. We choose our people. They have committed and chosen each other. Their relationship did strengthen through a shared traumatic experience, but they chose to push through it and use what they came out of that experience with to do good. With Superman, he did have his entire planet blow up, and the people that he knows and loves as his family, the people that took care of him, are the people that chose to do that, are the people that chose him, that chose to take on the responsibility of taking care of this strange alien child that crashed in their farm. Yes, it was the right thing to do, but they also weren't obligated to do that. Jonathan and Martha chose to adopt Clark and name him Clark. And even in that movie, his attachment to his Kryptonian heritage gets challenged. And at the end of it, he realizes that, true or not, does it really matter that much if he already became his own man, and if the man that he had become was influenced by the fact that he was raised by good people that chose him as family, blood related or not. Family is what you make it. There's so many characters in both movies that just kept pushing through despite the challenges. You see Reed just try to problem solve every single thing that he can. Plans fail, he tries to come up with another one. Plan fails again, he tries to come up with something else. He gets stuck, doesn't give up. Johnny tries to figure out things on his own, even when other people are kind of overlooking him, and he tries to solve Silver Surfer Shala Ball to translate her language, to understand more of who she is, and try to find a different way around the whole Galactus problem. Even though everything seemed to point to the end of their world, they still kept trying, they still kept fighting. Sue kept trying up to the point where she lost her life. All that mattered to her was what she said mattered to her: protecting her kid, protecting her family, and protecting the rest of the world. And each one of them played a role that fed into the grand scheme of things. In Superman, there is an ideological and a physical battle happening basically at all times. His beliefs are always challenged, his intentions are always challenged, and in those arenas, he never backs down. He feels down, he feels emotions, but he still keeps on trying to do good and trying to do the right thing. When it comes to the physical challenges, he fights and he doesn't back down. Sure, yes, he gets knocked down, but it doesn't stop him. And in that same way, you can see that resiliency in so many other characters. Mr. Terrific didn't give up trying to solve every single issue that he kept running into, even as a literal city was being split apart. The rest of the Justice Gang, even Guy Gardner, was inspired by Superman being a good guy. Even their cold cynicism was warmed, and everybody else showed up where he couldn't. Lois and Jimmy kept on hacking away at it until they got to the bottom of things when it came to bringing down that universe's baldest, biggest, number one generational hater. And on the note of Superman getting emotional at times, and that scene he had with Park Kent, and Reed having his anxieties and fears, and being open about it, all these things bring me to a very, very important point. Men can be emotional. And I'm not just saying that to talk to the men, I'm saying that to talk to everybody else. Nowadays there seems to be this culture war on how men are supposed to express themselves, and we're only supposed to express ourselves in specific ways but not in others. There are people that shame men for expressing themselves in other ways that are authentic. In the end, that just creates a vicious cycle where people don't feel like they're allowed to feel and express in the ways that are authentic to them, which can create a lot of shame internally, that can create a lot of suppression, that withholds people from having genuine and authentic self-expression, that hinders people from having healthy ways of processing and communicating who they really are and how they actually feel. Most especially Superman highlights the fact that, yes, men can be emotional. You're allowed to, it's normal. That doesn't make you any weaker of a man. That doesn't make you any less of a man. It makes us human. Those emotions don't have to rule over us. Those emotions don't have to define us, but we are allowed to feel them and we are allowed to express them. Even as we do, they do not have to define us. They do not have to control us. For some reason, there's this connotation that something being cheesy or corny or too earnest is cringe. Cheesy and corny does not equal bad. Being earnest does not equal lame. Some people do consider these movies cheesy and corny. The Fantastic Four's 60s retro futuristic aesthetic. The Red Trunks, they have their place. At least they should. If we are giving space to dark and gritty adaptations, we're giving space for realism, which I do find important and valuable, I think it's only fair to balance all that with just as equally invaluable some levity, some fun, some camp. Too much positivity and it feels like it's being shoved down your throat. And too much of the darkness feels too miserable. There's a much needed space to be filled in encouraging hope, in encouraging kindness. And I think we are moving to this direction because we really need it. Things not always being so dark and gritty and miserable and cynical. When you feel a bit cheesy, you feel a bit corny, try to consider maybe that's where you need to be. Just because something feels a bit less realistic because it's hopeful doesn't mean that that's a bad thing. This is coming from somebody who's typically dark and brooding, which I think is why it hits me more, you know? It feels so much more meaningful to me to realize all these things about hope and love and caring about people and inspiring others, because it's a nice shock, it's a nice hit of a change of pace for somebody like me. And it makes me think back to the dynamic between Batman and Superman. I really, really do see the value in somebody just being a beacon of hope when I'm typically the one looking at people with suspicion and distrust, looking out for potential problems before they even happen, coming up with contingencies for the problems that come after that. My brain has no rest, not because it doesn't want to rest, but because hoping is hard. Seeing media that is just openly hopeful has been so refreshing. It's nice to be reminded that there's good out there. It's not just the character of Superman himself, it's that there are people who are able to write him this way. That means that there are real people in the real world that think of these ideas, that uphold these values, that care about goodness and earnestness still. Something that these two movies reminded me of is passionate care, and that passionate care leading to action. It can inspire, it can stoke something. It's not just trying to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do or you were told to do it. It's doing it because you're passionate about it. It genuinely comes from you that you want to do this thing because you believe in it. If that's true, then it doesn't just show in the big gestures. It shows even in the littlest things that nobody would think to be significant or even notice at all. Perfect example is in Superman with that kaiju fight. He probably could have done a dozen different things to just solve that kaiju issue like that, but he tried his best up until the very end, up until the Justice Gang did Justice Gang things to keep that kaiju alive, to try to put it down humanely. At worst, he was doing his best, and it shows not just in him protesting through his words, but also his actions. He was looking out for collateral damage. He was catching the kaiju being knocked over with its back up against a building, and making sure that that building was not crushed, making sure that the people in it were safe, and most importantly, he saves the little ones. Not only does he save a little girl, he also saves a squirrel, which a lot of people in probably that world would not have noticed, and a lot of people in our world actually have been open about not really caring. But that's exactly what I mean. When your cares are authentic, it doesn't just show in the big things. This all-powerful alien bothering to use his energy and his super speed to just make sure that that one little critter is safe. When you're unafraid to stand out, you become less afraid of yourself. You become more honest, and those things that you say matching with the things you actually do, at least for the most part. Again, we're human, we're not perfect, we're real people, not fictional characters. But for the most part, when we're unafraid, we will stand out in our own ways because we glow as who we actually are. We're not trying to suppress ourselves, we're not trying to hide, we're not afraid of even ourselves, you know? We are willing to be more open, and in that, it shows our true character, it shows our true intentions, and by embracing our better sides, appealing to the best that we can be, we can stand out in a way that inspires others, because we are showing our version of integrity. We're showing our version of authenticity, and by doing that, we are showing others that they can do it too. We have a chance as individuals to mobilize the people around us. Sure, we're not all-powerful beings, we're not celebrity superheroes like the Fantastic Four, we're not all geniuses that can invent world-changing products like Reed Richards, but we are our own people with our own advantages. We have our own circles of people that we care about, that also care about us. And when we show our cares, when we're being real to who we are, we can inspire those people in our lives to do the same. Or at least to show them that it's possible. Even if they don't fully take to it, we can inspire them to be better. I have seen these movies inspire people, reinvigorate a little bit of life in people, give people hope. If not in life, then at least in movies, in superhero movies, being enjoyable again. That all started because these movies, and the people that made them, were not afraid to showcase these characters in their costumes, with their powers, and with their ideologies. Being unafraid to pop was a core of these movies, and it was also a core of the characters in them. And because they weren't afraid, they were able to show who they were, stand up for what they believe, and act accordingly, even when challenged, even when hated, even under immense world-ending pressures. And I think we can all get something out of that. And honestly, it's been so nice to see this rise in hope and goodness, and in Superman media just embracing it. With animations like My Adventures with Superman, and with my personal favorite Superman still, Tyler Hoechlin, on the Superman and Lois TV show, that hold up this guy who's just doing his best, that loves his family, cares deeply for Lois and Jimmy and all the people around him. It's just nice, you know? This is a lot mushier and a lot more hopeful and much nerdier than how my videos usually go. But I think that's the point, because this is a part of me, but maybe I haven't given you enough of a direct example. So here I am. And even as some people might say that this is just I'm 14 and this is deep, or you're reading too much into it, bro. This is my lifestyle. I try to find meaning in everything that I can. So when I play video games, when I watch movies and TV shows, even if it's just a silly superhero cape thing, I still end up finding meaning in it anyway. That has always been me. For some time, I felt some hesitation. The ridiculousness of how I feel, talking about life lessons from Superman and Fantastic Four, but that is the essence of who I am. And if I'm going to talk about authenticity and the willingness to pop and the willingness to share what I care about and what I believe in and encouraging others to do the same, then I should just do it. So here I am, early in the morning, not having slept yet, filming this, because I believe that this is what I should be doing. I infer a lot of life lessons from a lot of different things. Popular culture and superhero media is one of those bigger ones that I don't often feel like I get to talk about, because I feel like it makes it sound childish or silly, but it's not. Because ultimately, if you find meaning in it, why invalidate it? Thank you so much for watching. This, again, is a very different video for me to make. Kind of the same format, but it comes from a different source. So if you enjoyed this, leave a like. Seriously, it lets me know that you did. And leave a comment. I'm curious to know, which one did you like better, Superman or Fantastic Four? Let me know in the comments below. Do not be a stranger. If you want to keep up with me, follow me on Instagram at @SentientPoison. Thanks for chatting, it was lovely having you here. See you in the next one. My name's Nicholas. Cheers.